Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gazzetta Football Italia. As you can see, another very exciting episode this week as we're back with the European Player of the Year, the World Footballer of the Year, Mr. George Weah. George, first of all, congratulations.
Thanks. Well, I would like to give you this for having the best voice of sports 1995.
The Voice of Sports 1995 viewers. I don't know what to say. George, thank you very much.
No, forget about it. Just give it to Gary Bloom as soon as you see him.
Of course. Ken?
Better luck next year, Jim. In today's show, the best of last Sunday's action as the league leaders rolled relentlessly on. James has all the week's big stories. We've got the first leg highlights from this week's Coppa Italia semi-finals. And meet Serie A's man of the moment, World Player of the Year, George Weah.
Gary Bloom. Well, thanks, Kenneth. And hey-ho, let's go then with another of our regular roundups of the best of the action from last Sunday in Serie A. A day indeed which was to see the two second-place teams in the division, Parma and Fiorentina, meeting head-to-head in Florence. We'll have highlights of that game shortly. First of all, though, it's off to Bergamo to watch the leaders Milan defending their 5-point lead against Atalanta in front of the ugliest fans in Serie A. Blending in nicely were Peter Brackley and Luther Blissett.
Just kept in by Paolo Maldini. Then Desai with the clearance. Off goes George Weah. And he's got clear here. Great chance for Weah. And he's taken it superbly. George Weah. A cracking start for Milan. Inside the first minute. Well, Luther Blissett alongside me here. How do you contain this man?
Very, very difficult. I mean, absolutely superb here. I mean, he's set off and he's determined to make sure he gets there. Once he's area, I mean, he just really concentrates now, just make sure he hits the target, and a superb finish there. Goalkeeper's got no chance. Determination, fantastic.
He just burst away from the challenge of Valentini. This is Donadoni. Milan seeking the double over Atalanta, having beaten them 3-0 in the San Siro back in September. Great touch then by Weah. Savicevic. Way back for Baggio. And an important challenge then by Bonacina. Here's Donadoni. Little 1-2 with the referee. And eventually cleared by Atalanta, but some wonderful skill then to admire from George Weah and Savicevic too.
Oh, superb touch. Look at that. I mean, absolutely wonderful touch. And a little back heel coming up now. Exquisite bit of skill.
Here's Pavone. Alvieri. That was a fine pass too, releasing Pavone. Well, he stumbled and Panucci did push him in the eyes of the referee. Baresi saying it was a dive, but it's a caution for Panucci.
I think I might go on the side of what Baresi's saying there myself.
I thought he lost his balance.
Yeah, I think that's mainly in trying to keep the defender off. Let's give him a little tug. Give him a little tug.
Might be the left foot of Morfeo here, the number 10. Laid off and hit. Oh, great save by Rossi. Just tipped it over the bar. The shot from Sgro.
Very good save. Struck it superbly there. Arrow in for the top corner. And a fine save. Shapes up for it. Head down. Great technique there. I mean, that was in the top corner.
Bizzarri. It was a real live wire. It was a good run too by Bizzarri. And the shot wasn't that far wide of goal. So maybe he's going to make a difference for Atalanta in the second half.
He's made a big difference already, because now they are looking to go out on both sides now.
But again, Milan proving so hard to break down defensively. This is Bonacina! And Rossi just about kept it out.
Very fortunate there, I thought. He looked as if he just tried to catch that one, and it actually went through his hands.
It's a good strike by Bonacina. Weah had pulled off to his right here. This is George Weah. Oh!
What a super strike.
Oh. Well, he hits the ball with such venom, George Weah. Pisani. All caught by Panucci, who has been cautioned earlier, and now I think it's going to be sent off. The red card shown by Stefano Farina. Well, Panucci has accepted the decision and even there found time to shake the hand of his opponent, the man he brought down, Pisani.
So Milan roll on thanks to another hit-and-run sortie from George Weah, who the papers here remain convinced is some kind of wild jungle cat. For example, Corriere della Sera, Weah a scratch that leaves its mark, and Corriere dello Sport, a scratch from Weah is enough. Well, George now up to 8 goals for the season. His teammate, the other big summer buy for Milan, Roberto Baggio, equally now up to 11 substitutions in the championship so far. And indeed, Roberto hobbling off at half-time with a back injury on Sunday, which kept him out of training all week. Anyway, while it's scratch and sniff then for 2 of Milan's top stars, the team themselves extend their lead at the top of Serie to 8 points, while, of course, we waited for Parma and Fiorentina to play one another in the evening game. As I say, highlights of that are coming up very shortly. Firstly, though, we bring you Juventus against Cagliari, and a trip down memory lane here for the Cagliari coach, Giovanni Trapattoni. Il Trap, as he's more commonly known, the man who helped make Juventus great, the man who put the T in Turin. Rather glad he did, actually. Anyway, how would his new side Cagliari get on against the champions? Let's find out now with Gary Bloom.
Ferrara tries to get away from Luis Oliveira. Lombardo. Filicano. Once again, he's given the ball straight back to Juventus. And this is Conte! That's a smart save by Abate. Another potent Juventus raid. Finished off by a cracking shot by Conte. Repelled by Abate, the goalkeeper of Cagliari. Filicano knocks it long. Cut out by Ciro Ferrara. On by Venturin. And this is Vialli, who brings Paulo Sousa into the game. Buscedo can't get it out. This is Ravanelli. He's cut inside Villa and scores. Monomi on the line, couldn't keep it out. And there was a real sense of panic there in the Cagliari defence when Ravanelli cut in from the right-hand side. He wrong-footed Villa, and there was little Cagliari could do to keep the ball out. Conte. Ferrara. And this is Ravanelli. And Vialli took the ball off the toe of Lombardo. Well, Vialli is a well-known goal poacher, but he could well have poached a goal from a teammate here. Ravanelli got clear down the right. This was pulled back for Lombardo. And Vialli then took over the responsibility himself. Carrera. Conte. Paulo Sousa. This is Ravanelli, and it's 2. Well, where was the Cagliari marking? Ravanelli given a ridiculous amount of space. Giovanni Trapattoni, who won every major honour in the world game as coach of Juventus. Lombardo. Cut out by Villa. Paulo Sousa. Lombardo finds Vialli, and Abate has to produce another marvellous stop. Of course, Lombardo and Vialli played together at Sampdoria, and they combined effectively here. Conte with the throw. It's going A rather laboured second half for Juventus. And that's Ravanelli. He'll chase his hat-trick till the end of the game. Having a little bit of a run-in with Ferricano. Swapping passes here with Pesotto before shooting wide. Di Livio, Giro Ferrara, Paulo Sousa. That's Del Piero. It's 3. Now, was this a miss-hit shot by Alessandro Del Piero, the Juventus substitute? It seemed to come off the end of his toe and looped and swerved and eventually dipped under the crossbar to get the better of Abate in the Cagliari goal. I think this will have to go down as a freak goal. So Juventus creep ever closer to another victory. Dario Silva. Luis Oliveira's onside here. He's pulled a goal back. Luis Oliveira scores his 8th goal of the season. And my goodness, he had to be determined to achieve that. That goal will do little to alter the outcome of this game. Vialli. Cagliari have seemed very dispirited in this second half. Pesotto links up with Del Piero now. And this is Jugovic. And Juventus reply with a goal of their own in stoppage time at the end of the game. Marvellous cross by Pesotto. And Jugovic scores only his 2nd Serie A goal of the season. And it's now Juventus 4, Cagliari 1.
Oh dear, well, Trapp, how bitter is Turin, as the Corriere dello Sport asked after that one. The tough times continuing for Trapattoni, the most successful football coach in Italy, at least until now. His Cagliari side have now managed to lose their last 4 away games and have conceded, curiously enough, 4 goals in each one of them. Not surprisingly, thus, they now find themselves just 3 points off the relegation zone, and that noise that you can hear, sadly, is the bell tolling for Giovanni Trapattoni, as we'll be discovering later. Right now, though, finally, it's time to see highlights of that evening match, Fiorentina against Parma for 2nd place in Serie A, and commentary here from Peter Brackley.
Rui Costa was underneath it. Now Schwarz. Serena on the overlap. Bajika. Good strike too, and only just wide of goal then from Bajika. The Italian under-21 captain. Really struck it well then, Bajika. Rather casual ball from Stoichkov. Serena for Rui Costa. He was taken out from behind then by Sensini, and that will be a caution for him. He was just totally deceived then by the footwork of Rui Costa. And it did look in the end a very clumsy tackle from Sensini. Batistuta may be lining this one up. 13 goals in the last 13 games from Batistuta, after only 1 in the first 2 months of the season. So he really has hit top form over recent weeks. Scored a cracking goal against Vicenza a couple of weeks back. Here is Batistuta now, and the shot went through, and it's in from Amoruso. Bucci couldn't hold on to it. And Fiorentina have taken the lead on 25 minutes. A fizzing shot then from Batistuta, and it was too hot for Bucci to hold on to. And Amoruso was in there, the first to strike. Such a venomous free kick. There's bend on it too from Batistuta. This is Brambilla. Now Sensini. Away from the first tackle. Musi. Good save by Toldo. Didn't really give too much then for Musi to aim at. He came out so quickly to confront him, to narrow that angle. That's Stoichkov seeking out Musi. Good covering though by Schwarz, who only got himself into trouble. Now Musi, and that's off the line from Padalino. Such awareness shown then by the Fiorentina defender Padalino. And how indebted his team were then to that awareness. That's good batting though by Piacentini. Now Rui Costa through the legs of Peen, and Batistuta's onside here. A great opportunity and a terrific save by Luca Bucci. As Batistuta went bursting through them, he might well have settled this game for Fiorentina. The kind of chance he has so often snapped up in the past with his deadly finishing. And now a free kick to Palmer. Pushed by Bajika on Stoichkov. Now is Stoichkov going to have a crack at goal from here? Here is Stoichkov, and beaten away by Toldo. Such was the force of the shot, he certainly couldn't hold it. And all credit to him, he was taking no chances there by pushing it over the bar and away to safety.
So that's how the big showdown ends then. Fiorentina winning 1-0, mainly thanks to Parma's goalkeeper Luca Bucci, who may indeed be sleeping with the fishes after that performance. Florence dreams, Parma cries, says Tuttosport, pointing out that it was a game in which Faustino Asprilla would have come in very handy for Parma. Certainly Hristo Stoichkov was a dead loss in what was supposed to be his big chance to shine without Gianfranco Zola. Anyway, with Fiorentina thus the lone competitor for Milan now in the title race, that's where we'll take one of our quick breaks. We'll be back though in a couple of minutes with the Coppa Italia, which has now reached, excitingly enough, the semi-final stage, plus all of the week's big news stories. Join us for that in a couple of minutes' time. Welcome back everyone to Gazzetta Football Italia. Time now for the papers, and as you can imagine, the press this week dominated by the heartbreaking news of the big split, that famous partnership that's coming to a close to the fans' dismay, the boys admitting that they just don't seem to get on anymore. Of course, some people said that only one of them could play anyway, and frankly their current record is appalling, and thus this week, in an uncanny parallel with a top English pop band, Cagliari have decided to get rid of their coach Giovanni Trapattoni. The official reason here in the Corriere della Sera, the fat one wants to go solo. Whoops, wrong paper. Trapattoni, I've understood that at Cagliari they don't want me anymore, thus it's best for all concerned that I leave. Shock news this, of course. Il Trap, as he's known, is the most successful coach that Italy has ever seen. 7 Scudettos he's won, plus virtually every cup possible in 23 years coaching at Juventus, Milan, Inter and Bayern Munich. Now, though, he gets his first ever dismissal from lowly Cagliari, although the official line is he resigned. And certainly that's what the Gazzetta puts on its front cover. Trap gives up, whilst the Corriere della Sera has Trapattoni. It's a dismissal in all but name, and here they voice the widespread rumours that it was Cagliari's own players who asked the club to get rid of him. Well, certainly all very different from the mood on Trapattoni's arrival in Sardinia when he was hailed as the saviour of Cagliari. The club indeed promising fans a place in the UEFA Cup and making Giovanni the focus of their season ticket campaign, plastering Trap's face all over the local public transport. Sadly, though, his coach work didn't turn out as nicely. The club have lost more than half of their games this season and are now, as I mentioned earlier, just 3 points off the relegation zone. Thus, Trapattoni is now firmly off the buses and on his bike. Well, the man who will replace Trap in the 5th coaching change at Cagliari in just 4 seasons is none other than Bruno Giorgi, who you may recall was in charge of the club in the 93-94 season, taking them indeed to the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup, before resigning after rude remarks by club president Cellino. Never mind, sportsmen know how to forget, as Giorgi commented as he flew into Sardinia this Wednesday. He should know, he was actually due in the day before. Anyway, this time from Cagliari, he'll be receiving a contract for the end of this season and the entirety of the next, so good luck to him with that. Good luck, of course, to Giovanni Trapattoni too, who we hope to be seeing resurfacing soon somewhere else. Right, well, having said that, it's time now for us, in search of more news, to move across to the mainland, where we ask what on earth is going on at Fiorentina. As we saw earlier, the team is currently 2nd in Serie A and in the semi-finals of the Coppa Italia, yet there are persistent rumours that their coach Ranieri may soon be moving to Roma. Having delayed the renewal of his contract several times, last Saturday Ranieri dropped this bombshell in the Messaggero. Goodbye to Fiorentina, the headline there. It reveals underneath, I've done my work here. A cycle has finished. I feel like starting again. What is he, a washing machine or something? He says, Carlo Mazzoni has told me that you're not really a coach until you've coached Roma, and I think he's right. I'm a Roma fan. I'd love to give it a try. Cryptic stuff, eh? Well, is Ranieri's purple reign really at an end? Well, 2 days later, he himself told reporters that he'd simply been misquoted, and he actually has an 80% probability of staying in Florence. Thus, the suspicion is it may all have been aimed at strengthening his hand in the upcoming contract talks. However, with Mazzoni earmarked for the chop still in the capital, those Roma rumours continue. And thus, after all the recent talk of Capello and Scala, we could end up seeing all 3 of Serie A's top teams changing their coaches this season. Extraordinary stuff. Anyway, from that, we now move on to another man making noises about a departure. He is Marco Simoni of Milan. Here he is in the Corriere dello Sport. Milan, I am off, he says. If I'm not a starter in the team after 7 years, I never will be. Well, in actual fact, Simoni was pretty much the starter for Milan last season when he managed 17 goals. But this time round, with the competition for places intense, he scored just 2 and is thus feeling frustrated and underused. Anyway, he wants out. Apparently his most likely destination is Barcelona. The Corriere dello Sport insisting here that the Catalan giants have offered to match his current £800,000 a year salary. Simoni himself says he'd be willing to change air by moving to Spain, and indeed his agent has now begun negotiations with Barcelona. The one minor hitch being, of course, that Simoni's contract with Milan runs until the year 2000, and to let him go, the Rossoneri would need a payment of at least £6 million. Interesting stuff. Well, like an asthmatic in a quick print shop, we await further developments breathlessly. Right now, anyway, that's where we'll leave the papers and turn our thoughts instead to the Coppa Italia, which reached the semi-final stage this week. Coming up now, reports on the 2 first-leg games with Gary Bloom, and first of all, Kenneth Wolstenholme.
Having already knocked out Roma and Milan earlier in the competition, Bologna's fans were hoping to see their side eliminate yet another Serie A club. It was never going to be easy for Atalanta against a side also gunning for promotion from Serie B. Ferran was brought into the action early in the game. Cristiano Doni saw his shot palmed away to safety. Of course, Bologna were one of Italy's most successful clubs in the distant past. Their last honour came in the Italian Cup 22 years ago. It appears this old club is on the verge of recapturing former glories. Bologna's 22-year-old midfielder Doni seems to have a long future at the highest level. He could have scored twice in the first half last Wednesday evening. Bologna had to wait until the second half to go ahead. Antonio Paganin scored an own goal 5 minutes after the restart. While the Atalanta defenders focused their attentions on Bologna's taller players, it was Cornacchini, one of the shortest strikers around, who headed the ball back into the danger area. Atalanta clawed their way back into this game and drew level with only 6 minutes remaining. Their defender, Mauro Valentini, got his name on the score sheet for the first time this season. Bologna's goalkeeper, Antonioli, must take his fair share of the blame as he failed to keep out Valentini's header. Indeed, Atalanta missed a late opportunity to take a 2-1 lead back to Bergamo for the second leg. Jose Herrera came so close to putting the away side ahead. The Uruguayan escaped the marking from Bologna's defence but failed to connect with Vieri's header. It ended 1-1.
So 28,000 fans have come to Florence for this Italian Cup semi-final against Inter. These two teams drew 1-1 here in the league back in November. And only chance here, Amoruso to push on. Schwarz trying to inject some pace into this Fiorentina attack. Rui Costa. Carboni got in the way. Baiano trying to win possession, and he was fouled there by Bergami. And a free kick to the home side. So here comes Battistuta. He's given that a fair crack. And Pagliuca couldn't afford to take another step backwards. Otherwise, he'd have taken the ball over the goal line. Serena. Bejica. He's picked out Baiano, who's through here. And Baiano wants a penalty kick. And the referee is going to give one in Fiorentina's favour. Well, this pass by Bejica cut the Inter defence in two. And it was Paganin who brought Baiano down. So 14 minutes in. Here's Battistuta. And Fiorentina lead by 1-0. It's his 17th goal of the season, his third in the Italian Cup, and what a well-struck penalty. Bergami. Benny Carboni trying to bring some width to this attack. 17 is Fresi. Oh, and that's directed to Roberto Carlos. Gans! And Inter a level. Maurizio Gens on target. He scored in the league meeting too early this season here, and he's drawn the sides level. Benny Carboni, who had a major hand in the Inter goal, and this is Branca, and that's a stinging shot, fisted clear by Toldo. Branca, the former Fiorentina player. Cois. Baiano, it's through to Cois now. Oh my goodness, Inter have been caught in possession. Here's Battistuta. And what a fine save by Pagliuca. And Inter were the authors of their own misfortune here. They gave the ball away and Battistuta was ready to pounce. Rui Costa. Battistuta. Well, that's an awful clearance by Roberto Carlos. This is Baiano. And Inter's defending leaves a lot to be desired. Baiano almost able to take advantage of that. Baiano. Cois is available. This is Rui Costa. Battistuta calling for the ball. This is Battistuta. Oh my goodness. That is a class goal. It's his 100th goal for Fiorentina. I doubt whether he's scored many better than this. Ince having a real old battle with Cois. Baiano's flattened. Rui Costa, now Battistuta's through. He's on his hat-trick, and he's got it! So 19 goals this season for Batigol, and he is steering Fiorentina towards the Italian Cup final. Vittorio Cecchiguri, the president, is more than delighted. And listen to the reception for Gabriel Batistuta as he leaves the field and hands over the captain's armband to Baiano. Well, Fiorentina's last major honour was the Italian Cup back in 1975. And they have plenty to look forward to now in the second leg in a fortnight's time.
So Fiorentina looking favourite for a place in the Coppa Italia final. We'll have highlights of those second leg games in 2 weeks' time. And that's it for part 2. After the break, we've got an exclusive interview with Milan superstar George Weah and the rest of the Week 21 action. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. Still to come, an exclusive audience with the World Player of the Year, Milan's George Weah. But first, the rest of last weekend's action starting in Milan, where Inter played host to Napoli. Here's Luigi Chiappini.
Roy Hodgson appeared to be in high spirits despite Inter's recent poor run. Roberto Carlos tested Tagliatela's reflexes early on. Inter had won just one of their 5 games in '96, but in that time Paul Ince has produced his best form of the season. He was at the heart of this move, which Branca should have finished off with a goal. Branca made up for his error when just past the half-hour mark he helped on a cross from Roberto Carlos and Gans was on hand to steer Inter ahead. Inter doubled their advantage 11 minutes into the second half. Another surging run from Paul Ince was brought to an end by a clumsy challenge from Cruz. Ince was clearly enjoying himself, but perhaps not as much as Gans, who from the penalty spot claimed his second goal of the game and his 9th of the season. Napoli went 3 down shortly afterwards. Branca scored following a delightful 1-2 with former Napoli favourite Beni Carbone. And things got worse for the away side. Fausto Pari was sent off for his ruthless challenge on Carbone. It was completely out of character for the veteran defender, but there were no hard feelings. Napoli were heading for their first defeat away to Inter in more than 5 years. Pecchia's effort was heading for goal before Pagliuca's intervention. With 11 minutes left, Branca scored his 11th goal of the season. It ended 4-0, but for Tagliatella it could have been more. Bari's fans were still smarting from the penalty decisions which they felt cost them the game at Lazio a week earlier. Against Piacenza, luck still wasn't on their side. Pedone came mighty close to giving Bari the lead. Gautieri then almost embarrassed Piacenza's goalkeeper Taibi, who seemed completely disorientated. Bari had numerous chances to win this relegation battle. Pedone again went close. Of course, Bari have Serie A's leading scorer Igor Protti. I'm sure he was left wondering how he failed to take his tally for the season to 17. Ultimately, Bari must have been grateful for just a point after Fontana kept out Piovani. The match ended goalless. Bari have now gone 5 games without a win. Goran Vlahovic has proved more than a handful for Serie A defenders since returning to action in December. Here is skillfully set up Krieg, who should have at least hit the target, and he knew it. Padova took the lead through Quickie, who scored his first Serie A goal with a little help from Mondini. The Vicenza keeper was beaten again shortly before the interval, Vlahovic scoring at the second attempt. That's now 8 goals in 10 matches for the Croatian. Mondini was certainly having a peculiar afternoon. Fortunately for Vicenza, Vlahovic failed to take advantage of the goalkeeper's error. To be fair to Luca Mondini, he could do little to stop Padova taking a 3-0 lead with 3 minutes to go. The shot from Vlahovic was deflected in by Lopez. It wouldn't be the same for Padova's fans without the afternoon ending with some heart-stopping moments. In stoppage time, Vicenza pulled 2 goals back. The first was scored by Murgita, who powerfully converted the cross from Viviani. The second was claimed by Ambrosetti following some more bizarre goalkeeping, this time from Bonaiuti. If you want goals, this is the place to be. 16 have been scored in the last 3 home games. Padova have won them all. With 6 months of the season gone, Torino still haven't managed to win away from home. Anglomar found Angelo Pagotto in excellent form. At the other end, Cagnata wasn't playing too badly either. He did well to deny Chiesa with a fine save at his near post. He needed to keep his wits about him again moments later. Maniero's cross almost curled right into Torino's net. It took an hour before the fans of this game witnessed the goal. Roberto Mancini claimed it. The volatile Sampdoria skipper hadn't scored since the end of October. Mancini's strike proved enough to earn Sampdoria 3 vital points. Torino went down to only their second defeat in 9 games since Coglio took over as coach. Mancini missed the chance to claim his and Sampdoria's second of the game. As far as Torino were concerned, he'd already done enough damage. Roma's fanatical following were expecting nothing less than victory at home to Serie A's bottom club. Di Biagio nearly gave them something to cheer about early on. The young midfielder was still looking for his first goal since signing from Foggia last summer. He found a surprising ally in Cremonese's goalkeeper Turci, whose dreadful error gifted Roma the lead. Di Biagio was all smiles as he finally got off the mark. I wonder how Turci was feeling after this. Roma had lost their 2 previous games, but were always on top in this fixture. They went 2 up before the break. Del Vecchio created a goal. Balbo scored it. It was the Argentines' 10th in Serie A this season. The half ended with a save more in keeping with Turci's ability. He denied Carboni, who tried his luck from long range. Cremonese were fortunate not to concede a third goal here. Both Capioli and Balbo might have scored. Roma were never in any danger of letting their lead slip. Indeed, the side from the capital added to their 2 strikes from the first half with another in the closing stages. Balbo supplied the raking pass, which picked out Capioli, who scored his first Serie A goal in 4 months. Udinese's fans had already seen their side lose at home to Lazio this season, in the Italian Cup. Here, the home side opened the scoring after 10 minutes. It was Ametrano who broke clear on the right. His pass was intended for Poggi, but it was Negro who put through his own net. Former Roma midfielder Stefano Desideri was keen to score against his old rivals. He made that painfully obvious. Goalkeepers have needed to improve their ball skills since the banning of the back pass. Gregori was fortunate some outfield players have improved their goalkeeping skills too. Lazio had lost their last 5 away games in Serie A and were on the verge of defeat number 6 before Fuser equalized 6 minutes into stoppage time at the end of the game. For the second week in a row, Udinese managed to let 3 precious points slip in the dying seconds. Still, you have to stop and marvel at Fuser's strike. It seems that's exactly what Udinese were doing. It ended 1-1.
So Lazio scrape a point, but Juve's win over Cagliari saw Zeman's side slip down to 5th. Elsewhere, convincing home wins saw Roma and Inter move back into the European contention, while at the very top, Milan maintained their 5-point lead and remain the team everyone has to catch. At the bottom, a big name slipped even further into trouble. Defeat at Sampdoria means that for Torino, relegation is now a very real possibility. However, there's a long way to go yet, and the teams directly above Torino still have plenty to worry about. It was a quiet day in the scoring stakes. The only significant move was made by Inter's Marco Branca, who scored twice against Napoli and joined Oliver Bierhoff on 11 goals. Otherwise, Igor Proti still leads the way. No doubt about tomorrow's game of the day, as Lazio and Roma clash at the Stadio Olimpico in one of Italian football's biggest occasions. Both Lazio and Roma began the season with title aspirations, but going into tomorrow night's game, the best either can now hope for is a top 5 finish and a guaranteed place in Europe. Currently, Lazio are 2 points clear of Roma in 5th place. However, Carlo Mazzoni's side are through to the last 8 of the UEFA Cup, and a win tomorrow evening would take them above Lazio in the standings. So for Zdeněk Zeman, it's a crucial game. His team are out of Europe, out of the Coppa Italia, and out of the title race. Defeat in the derby wouldn't be just another disappointment, it would be a disaster. Don't miss extended highlights of that game in Mezzanotte on Tuesday night. And don't miss tomorrow's live game, when you can see the reigning champions of Italy, Juventus. After last Sunday's 4-goal demolition of Cagliari, Juve will be aiming to continue their recovery at the expense of Vyodin Boscov's exciting young Napoli side. We'll be on air with that game at 1:45 tomorrow afternoon. Among the weekend's other games, the top 3 will all be hoping for maximum points against 3 teams currently down in the relegation zone. 3rd place Parma play host to Padova, 2nd place Fiorentina visit rock-bottom Cremonese, and leaders Milan face the only team to have beaten them this season, Bari, at the San Siro. This week, James has been up to Milan for another chat with a man who's emerged as one of Serie A's players of the season.
Gorgeous George, the last of the go-getters. Gorgeous George, a dandy to the letter. You really should know better. Gorgeous George.
Gorgeous George indeed. In the 4 months since we last met up with Liberia's most famous telephone repairman, he has been having a very busy time of it, picking up, as you know, both the European and World Player of the Year awards, nipping off down to South Africa, as you also know, for a bit of a disaster in the African Nations Cup, and continuing, as we saw earlier, to astound and amaze here in Serie A. Thus, this week, we're back up at Milanello for another chat with the man from Monrovia.
A year ago, Ware was famous but not considered one of the world's best. Now you've been voted the best on the entire planet.
Yeah, well, everything takes time. Yeah, maybe it was not my time, and I mean, this last year was my time, you know, and thank God that it came my way, and I think I've justified to be one of the best players in the world too, you know.
Does it mean a lot for a Liberian to win these trophies for your home country?
Well, maybe the Liberian people, they may not take, they may not have the importance of taking this trophy, you know, because, you know, they got some weird mentality people that don't know about football in my country, you know.
Right.
But I think they got some that really proud and, you know, willing to accept. And also for Liberia, the very small country that not been known in the world as a football country, you know,
right,
to win this award, I think, yeah, there's the important sports people, I think they really, you know, appreciative and hoping for the best, you know. I will praying for me to do the best to promote the country image, you know.
George is, of course, the first African to win either France football's Golden Ball or the FIFA World Player Award, and is thus widely regarded now as the most popular man in Liberia. Last month, as mentioned, he was off captaining his fellow countrymen in the African Nations Cup. The one thing, as it turns out, which hasn't gone George's way this season. His team failed to progress beyond the group stage with, to Michael Jackson's disappointment, Liberian goals few and far between. Captain George himself failed to score, was widely hailed as the big disappointment of the tournament, and even ended up criticised by some of his own teammates. Still, as Ware himself points out, just reaching the African finals was a triumph for war-torn Liberia, and besides, the trip to South Africa was not without its benefits.
You met Nelson Mandela when you were down there. Was that an exciting thing for you?
Yeah, well, just a dream came true.
Right.
Because, I mean, since we found in the story of Nelson Mandela, we wanted to know who was Nelson Mandela and how he looked like. We see in television.
Right.
But personally, you know, we know he's a good man. Everybody wants to be near him, you know, to approach him, you know, every African.
But you had a chat, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a very good chance to meet him. I was very happy, and it was a very good souvenir for me.
What did you talk about?
Well, he welcomed me, he gave me a very good welcoming program, and he told me thanks for everything I'm doing for Africa. He wanted for me to know that I'm a true ambassador and I should continue.
Excellent.
And also, and I told him thanks for, you know, for inspiring the youth of Africa and for being so dedicated. And and I was very happy, and I think I made sure that some of my friends would profit too. You know, some players, most of the Liberian players went with me, and they met and they took photos, and they were all happy. Yeah, I think everybody wants souvenir, and we got the best of souvenir in South Africa. Even though we were disappointed, but on the other side, we were very happy.
You came back to Italy, and without missing a beat, you're already scoring goals again. Do you find things a lot easier here in Italy?
No, it's really difficult. The training and the matches, you know, and the mentality of the people, you know, they always want to win, you know.
You look quite tired as well.
Yeah, the pressure, you know, and it's really difficult, but what to do? I got no choice. I have to work, you know, even if I'm tired, because coming from Africa, you know, another weather, coming back to the core, you know, and I was expecting, you know, for my club to say, well, and I will give you 1 week out, you know, you have to rest and recover.
Right.
But, you know, if you're important to the club too, it's very difficult.
In fact, they wanted to fly you back in the middle of the tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, they wanted to fly me back, but I couldn't do it because if I think about myself too, you know, my physical, you know, there will not be a good input, you know.
Right.
Just flying back and forth, you know, it's very difficult. So I decided no.
Well, mighty Milan may struggle without him, but for some, the recent, if you will, badness of King George in the African Nations Cup has reopened the old debate about his world #1 status, an honour which they feel would have been better suited to Maldini, Baresi, Klinsmann, or perhaps even Batistuta. It is certainly a very subjective business, but without the likes of a Pele or Maradona around, any one player is never going to get everyone's pick, and certainly a look at George's explosive club form shows that he has got as good a case as anyone.
Where? Simone, Where again? Almost got through, he has! Super goal from George Ware. I thought he'd lost control of it then. Iranio. Ware. Slipping it through, still George Ware. Fabulous play! What a goal from George Ware! The movement from Savicevic and from Ware. This is Baggio. Ware! Oh, great goal from George Ware. And the FIFA World Player of the Year is back with a vengeance.
Thanks to the viewers and also the electors, you know. Yeah, and I don't think they make a mistake. But I hope to always do my best, you know, to make them happen. Also to my fans and prove to people that. Being the best, not just giving me the trophy, you know, I deserve it too, you know. So,
right.
Yeah. But I think the most important for me is to keep working hard, you know, and prove to the people that I'm a good sportsman, that's all.
Well, quite. Ambassador George Ware there, the man who's done more for Red Shoes than Kate Bush and Elvis Costello put together, looking a little less chirpy, I must say, than we're used to seeing him. Hopefully the strain of being world #1 isn't getting him down. Well, tomorrow afternoon he and Milan should be having a relatively easy time of it as they take on Bari at the San Siro. We ourselves, as you heard earlier, with our gruelling schedule, will be down at the San Paolo Stadium in Naples, where Napoli will be taking on Juventus. That'll be on Football Italia at the digestion-aidingly later time of 1:45 right here on Channel 4. So I hope you can join us for that. For now, though, from all of us here, it's a very warm and sincere arrivederci.
More Italian football tomorrow. And don't forget, you can keep up to date with our Under-19 trophy competition, where one team will win the chance to play in Italy by turning to page 364 of Fortel. To play in Italy by turning to page 364 of Fortel.